Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, fine. Myself, Ram. So, so little bit about myself. So, I've been in automation. So it might be Python, Playwright, or any sort of automation UI, API, anything. So performance. I've been in industry for past 10 years. So most of my thing is I was into R&D, R&D in test. Used I develop mostly test systems. So designing test systems and different frameworks according to the company's needs and everything. So that was a little bit about me. So, so this course was mainly designed for one thing is, see, I could tell what is Playwright, I could tell basics of Python, I could tell anything. But so this was designed in a such a way that everybody need to build something from scratch. I mean, a framework. So you can write Playwright or you can use. There will be so many things in market to use, but how does what is the process to start any framework? What is the way to design any framework from scratch? So see, anything to design or anything to get into mind how the data flows from one part to other part, you need to understand the process. Means so suppose in your day-to-day life, or not day-to-day life, in your work life or something, there comes a challenge that okay, they'll give you, and you will be an individual contributor and you have to design something new. How you're going to design it, how you're going to start it, what is the thing which should run in your mind. Okay, there will be, suppose if you're trying to build a house, what you'll do first, you'll look for land. You'll see that whether the land suits for your house or your needs. Then you'll go and you'll get a design from architect and gather all the required permissions. Then build a house by you getting the materials, funds, and everything. So everything has a process. So in the similar way, if you go to building any framework or any automation tool or anything, everything has a process. If you understand the process, everything by step, it comes in your mind that okay, we need to follow this process. This is the best possible approach so that it's, it's a successful workflow. If you follow it, okay, you can optimize it too. So how to optimize is something you're going to learn in future, but to know the process end to end is something from scratch, from basic idea. So where does the basic idea you need to get from there to build a complete framework is something I will be concentrating on this session. In that way, in that process itself, how to develop a basic idea into a complete framework. That's what will be taught. And in while teaching that, I'll teach all the basic what are the required things in doing that. Okay. So I hope everyone had idea about manual testing.
Yes.
Okay. So any manual testing. So yeah, any manual testing. So what is the basic idea? So if you have done any manual testing, we'll start with what is the first thing. There should be for you to test. The first thing is it's necessary is environment. If there is no environment setup or anything, if you don't have an environment which is being set up, what will you do? I think you can't do anything if there is no environment to test the application itself. Then you can't start this test. So that is the basic requirement. So setting a environment, organizing the necessary resource is the primary step. Even if you don't know, because see, for us, everything is spoon fed. Means everything will be given to us. Okay, okay, this is the application you need to test. They'll give you an URL and test in this particular environment. So what basically they are saying that there is an environment which was being set up for you. So here you can start. That is the basic requirement you will get to test any application. So that was the thing. So 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 if you see, that was the step one for any process, like environment setup and preparation. So what is the objective? Setting up the environment and organizing necessary resource was that. So if you see the process, if you see what is the process or steps which are involved in environmental setup, see, okay, see, mm, as we are from a testing background and everything, so everything need to have a process. So any of our tests need an three things. One is input, then output, then how the data is flow. These are the three things which needed to be considered for anything in our test. Then the final thing is, if we have input, what should be output, what is the data, how the data should flow. The final thing you need to do is verify it. So I'll go in this flow itself. I'll say that, okay, what is the input, what is the output, what should be the data flow, what should be the verification. So in this particular step, see, in environmental setup, the thing is, for any application you need access, application access. That means it should be imbibed in such a way that, okay, yeah, who's testing it, they need to have the application access. So they should have hardware and software tools. Then once all those inputs are given, there will be a ready test environment. That's a simple thing. So how do you confirm it? You'll confirm it by basically saying that, okay, we'll test, we'll have access or readiness. Next, so that's what I'm saying. Preparing a testing environment. That was environment was set up, the preparation was done. So, so how do you prepare an environment? So preparing the environment has organizing the file means whatever in this environment, how to deal with a particular application, you need to have the files and documentation. So like KT, we know college knowledge transfer. So knowledge transfer is something we'll have basic idea about the application we are about to test. So I'm going little deep. Is it okay, or should I go higher level itself, saying that all this we know?
I think you can go to higher level. This is the basic which we already know. So if for me it's better you can go higher. Other side depends on other participants.
So one reason I'm doing it is, see, each and every step. Uh, why? One reason was manual test. If you see any manual test or automation test, you see comparison. Suppose if you see a login, simple login. How do you log in any application? You log in by, if it is a manual testing, you'll simply go. You'll enter your username. You'll enter your password. You'll go and click login. If it is valid, it will log into the application. So this is how the manual process works. But deep, if you look into it, deeply, if you look into it, uh, a compiler is the person. Like for a code, if you write a code, compiler is the person who need to understand each and every step. It is a dumb person. You need to direct it in the right path. So if you want to create a login automation functionality, how do you create it? You can't directly say that, okay, this is the username, this is the password, go. You have to direct it to the right thing. Means, see, if you go and log in into a Facebook application, you know that by looking at the Facebook header or the URL or the interface which you are familiar with, you know that, oh, this is a Facebook application. You will know exactly where to. But for a tool or compiler, it doesn't know it's a Facebook application. You have to give him something like, okay, this is where if the Facebook header name is there, think it as a Facebook itself, and whatever URL I mentioned, if it is exactly that URL, you can be assured that with these two clues, you know that that's a Facebook application. Then you'll give with the DOM, you'll speak with the DOM with the web elements. You'll know that okay, this is where you need to enter. This is where you need to see all this process is involved in a simple thing. But in the same way, if you can't understand the nuances of manual testing and keep everything in your mind, you need to have a checklist. Everything in a mind, you'll miss something and you'll miss the process to automate it. So this is the process where you'll have, I'll go faster, but this is the process where you need to understand because I'm going to convert exactly this workflow into automation framework. So, okay, simply I'll go like organizing the files, a simple thing like organizing files and documentation is something you follow like test cases, requirements gathering, or data gathering and documents, whatever is nice, you'll organize everything. And so, Katie, application walkthrough and the planning, understanding the application workflows, verify whether the workflows are documented or not. Because each and every time, if you have a requirements itself, you'll have whether it's documented or not. Next, test case, whatever test case initial from there, there will be development, there will be organization, once there is a test case you have written, there will be verification review of test case clarity. Then you'll prepare the checklist for common actions, ensure the checklist coverage. Then to test that particular application, you need data. Then you'll prepare the data, you'll organize the test data, then review the test coverage, and then you'll execute. And finally comes execute the test case, cross verify with the test results, capture the screenshots or notes for the issues, means that means bugs, and ensure the issues are documented, means if the screenshots are clear, you will in your QA ticket or something, you'll update that okay, this is passed or failed. Then there will be notes of issues, means you'll raise a bug if there is a bug. So that is you'll give in your test reporting, document the test results and prepare the test report and give it to appropriate person, review the report accuracy. I think so. I covered everything in manual
I
2D.
have I have one question here. I'm seeing
Yeah.
some difference in the testing process flow, right? Because usually what manual testing will do, we have a requirement document, we analyze the requirement document, we prepare test cases, then environment setup will happen, then we will start executing it. But your flow saying that first environment will ready because agile is first requirement should be ready, then we prepare test case, then only the
What
environment.
is it? So where do you okay as if you see SDLC process and SDLC process, what is the difference between SDLC process and SDLC process?
Both are same, right? For SDLC process or software development process also same. When you have
But
requirement
see,
phase and planning phase will be first, right? How
yeah,
the application will be developed from that
see,
we have walked through and we
there is
can.
two ways. I'm saying about the second way. Once
Mm,
you'll test an application, there will be requirement analysis where you'll have discussions and everything.
correct,
But
correct.
when is the testing process starts?
Correct.
In-
Testing process starts not after the deployment of application, right? Testing process starts whenever requirement test case preparation. After that, this testing is development SDLC or SDLC. Both phase testing process starts as basic with agile
Yeah,
with
yeah.
basic with
So
the requirement, right? So first is the
when you
requirement.
okay, good. Let's not go into deeper discussions, but I'll have only one question for you. That is, when you actually test it without developing it, I'm only talking about after the application is
That that
being
I, that
developed.
I that I agree, Ram. That I agree. But your flow says that first prepare test environment, then organize file,
Yeah,
then
to test it.
test. Then you preparing a test case. Usually, all the
So
manual we prepare the test
I'm
case
not
earlier, right?
preparing test case development and organization. See, I did not say test case writing. See, it is organizing the files and documentation. I said test case development. See, you'll write a test case based on the application, you'll develop it into test steps.
No, no, no. We cannot write test case based on the application. We write test case based on the requirement. Then
You'll
only we test the application, right?
see, you'll write the test case based on requirement. You develop it based on the application. I wrote test case development out.
By the requirement, the development to the developer. Tester, what you do after developing the development, then tester will test within the test cases, right? So we cannot go because if you develop a test case by seeing the application, then we cannot find the bug.
Oh God, I'm not saying about that. I'm saying about development of a test case and organization. This is entirely different. I'm not saying about the requirements or anything. I'm saying that verifying the workflows or anything, this is a testing process after the application is developed. Means,
I
oh,
don't agree. I don't agree with. You go ahead, but I don't agree with testing process. Sorry, I don't agree with this process. Go ahead. Sorry.
okay, fine, whatever it is. So, so your problem is with test case. I'm not saying that test case development is happening somewhere or other way. I'm saying that
No, Raj,
organizing.
no, you're not understanding. You can start. You can go ahead because you are completely changing the testing process as of now. You're saying that after walk through the application, you can change the test case development organization. That is completely the testing process diversion for me. So you can go ahead. I came here to learn about the Playwright with Python. I don't want to go with this. Okay, go ahead. No issue.
Fine. Okay. Anyways, so the same process. So building a framework with Python. So
Yeah.
okay, fine. So first thing you need is the similar thing which I have cross compared is project setup and environment configuration. So what is project setup or environment configuration? When I'm saying project setup and environment configuration is, you know exactly what is the tool you're going to use. Am I right? So for that particular reason, first you'll be opening any application or anything. So when I say environment configuration, if you're going to use a tool like Playwright framework, so with Python, what are the basic requirements for the anyone?
Building a Playwright in Python.
What are the basic requirements? I mean, when I say project setup or environment configuration, you are saying that we are going to use the tool called Playwright framework with Python. What is the basic thing you need in that from that statement itself?
Think.
It's basic Python. Am I right?
Correct.
Yeah, because without Python in your environment, when I'm saying environment, it's
Okay.
not something, it's system itself. So your system should be capable of working with Playwright. Am I right? For that, what is a mediator? So you can't directly talk as a person, you can't directly talk with Playwright now. There should be
Yeah.
some mediator. So for that mediator, so laptop or computer or system acts as a mediator, but from that mediator to Playwright to have a communication, you need to have Python. So first you need to install Python, saying that okay, because it's like application program interface. It acts as a API, similar to API. It's not API. I'm saying that it acts as a middleman or a rival. Basically, whatever you command, it will understand and it will communicate with the Playwright. For that, you need Python. That's the language of conversation between you and it. Yeah. So that's basically when I say environment configuration. The thing you need is Python. And next, since you're going to use the tool called Playwright, the first thing you are going to say is Playwright. You download the Playwright package and Python. Am I right? So, these are the two things. So at the end, you need to have two things. That is Python environment. You are going to test Python. You are going to install the Python environment in which you are going to use Playwright library.
Got it.
It's like having a conversation like going to a library. So it might be the library might be medicine or engineering or anything. So if the library is totally in English, you need to have a communication language. Understand in your brain should have a communication language in English. So that means In a English studying university, you will have a library of something you need. So in the same way, in your system, you're going to build an environment in which you need to have a playwright library. So with Python, you can talk with many libraries. You can understand many libraries, but here you're going to use only Python. Sorry, playwright. So next. So that was the first step. So, okay, before going to this, so in developing any framework or anything, according to requirements, you're going to change everything, or what is the first basic thing you need to? So, to automate a test case into a test case into, you need to automate a test case into test. What is the first thing you need? You need exactly to have a conversation. Just what is that test step? Like entering username into the field. This is the only step which is needed to be converted. Am I right? So that will go into your mind because you won't go and automate 4 steps at a time. You'll go step by step, step by step, step by step. So when I say project setup, what is the first thing that comes into your mind? There should be a project structure. So are you going to know everything in the structure, or you're going to start with something basic? So I'll say that according to my understanding, I'll say that only thing I need is tests because we are running from pretty thing. So we know that in our manual process, we do tests. So the same tests need to communicate with the Playwright so that it can automate it using Playwright library. Everything can be automated. So I know only one thing that should be for sure in the project structure was tests. Am I right? Do you have anything else we need? So first, so think it as tests as what to do. Next, what is after what to do? What is the next thing we need? What to do? What is the next thing we need to know? Way to do it. Am I right?
Yeah.
So then what is the first thing you need? If it is an UI, you need URL. And if URL is there, next thing maybe if it is based on credential, we might need credentials. So if it is an API, we might need API keys. So what all are this? UI, URL, credentials, and everything. What is that? All this is called sorry, configuration. What is configuration of that particular application? So w- what is a configuration? When I say configuration, what is the thing that comes to your mind?
Configuration contains the URL, what username, password we are going to do. So these are all configuration on the configuration. But you're right.
Means when I say configuration itself,
It's
what
about
comes into your mind apart from whatever I mentioned? What should come into your mind? So
which
in
goes
computing language,
um, how to set
so
up.
in a common English language, configuration is nothing but arrangement or organization of elements. Means in a proper way, arranging and organizing the elements in a particular form or combination. Means I'll just say QA1 environment, if there's a QA1 environment, we'll have a different URL, we'll have different creds. Am I right?
Correct.
QA2 will have, suppose we'll take it as URL1 and cred1. So here we'll take URL2 and cred2. So this is how it normally works. So if I in QA1 environment, if I going to use URL2, is it going to work? No, it's not going to work because the configuration is nothing but here when I refer to a configuration, it is in a particular combination. If you're organizing the elements, it has to work in that particular combination itself. So this, this is nothing but the system settings or the network parameters or anything. So when I say way to do and when I say configuration, here I mean that it might be your application might work in Google. It might not work in anywhere else, or it might work in Safari. It might work someplace else. But these are the things you need to get hold of it. That's the thing you're going to store in your configuration. So normally, what we use is in any framework, we call it as app settings. You know, app settings means application settings. How the application where we need to have. So because first thing is what to do, then next it will go to where to do it itself. Then okay, we have done with what to do and where to do. What is the next thing comes into mind? This is an action. This is how where the action need to be performed. This is on whom the action needed to be performed. So when I say on what you need to perform on, what is that? Feature. Like what? Login button, or you are going to check search functionality. Anything. So login function. So first thing is what to do, where to do. The other one is what you need to perform on. It's future or login button or search functionality. These are the things you are going to perform now. I'm only talking about the UI perspective. Yeah, right. Okay. So we are done with first one. You're going to decide where to do it. Third one, we are going to do on whom you need to perform it. Fourth, what is that? So, okay, simple thing. So this is how I follow in most of organization I worked, but it might be different for anybody. So first, we'll take it as test scenario. Next, I'll take it as precondition. Next, what is the next one to do it? That is for me is test
Test,
data.
test data.
Yes, that's the fourth thing. So you have functionality, you have how to perform login and search, but there are parameters that is test data. So what is test data? So in this way, what to do it, where to do it, on whom to perform. in that direction, what is test data?
Tested as input, I say. It's input to how the
Yeah,
application performs.
using what you need to perform the action. That's it. Na? So somebody is to chop the onion, you can chop it with hand or scissor or anything. If they're not going to say chop it with knife, you're not going to chop it. You can chop it in any direction. So here, a test data is in a way that if somebody is going to say search functionality, if he's not going to define it based on numbers, you can search based on alphabets, you can search based on this is something you need not perform. If you don't have a perfect test data, doing anything on this application won't give you a fruitful result because data is infinite. So you keep on testing. There should be something like it should be bounded. Any data should be bounded for you to complete your test case or test execution. So test data should be bounded. So where do you get your test data from? No, no. Where do you get your test data?
Data, we can get two things. One, we have the requirement, we have mentioned the data, or in the database, we can get the data, or
Database, or
yeah,
you can have external files like somebody might provide you
process.
CSV,
CSV, Excel, yeah,
JSON,
JSON.
Excel, CSV, both the same for me.
Yes.
Yeah, they can provide it from somewhere else. It might be like mock data from tools. There will be tools provide the mock data too. So anything. So there is database. There is CSV or JSON or mock data. So one question. So we have test data in database, CSV, and JSON. They said that if you don't have a CSV reader, can you read it? If you don't have a database or SSL, SSMS, can you read the database without querying the data? Or if you don't have a JSON reader, means your application is not ready to open a JSON, or if you don't have a mock data tool, can you create the data or can you read the data? Can you see the data? No, you can't see it. Am I right? You need to have those applications. Those means it's basically helping you to view the data. Am I right? So I'll take those as helper. JSON reader, database, or SSMS, anything. Okay. Now we have test data. We have this. Okay. Is this our cases is completed? Kya? Test plan or test cases? Or we are leaving anything? What is the main thing we are leaving? Results. If you don't have results, means expected results or any results, any sort of results, expected results. If you don't have, you don't know what to answer. If there is a maths question, if you don't know, like if it LSH is or LHS equals to RHS, if you have certain thing, you'll know that, okay, we have to prove this. So if you don't have a result or something which to look upon, your test is like anything is successful itself. No? Even an error is a successful one. In the same way, you need to have results. So what is result? You're basically asserting that whatever comes from
What expected? What we expecting from the testing?
testing. That's it. Na?
Yes.
Results are nothing but asserting whatever coming from testing. We are comparing both. Is the whatever test uh, expected is equal to whatever we got. Am I right?
Correct.
So we are just asserting. So when we are done with this, how you're going to provide to your leads or your manager or anything? You're going to submit a report, no?
Yes, execution report.
Yeah, submit a report. Let's take it report itself. It might be in many forms. We'll say we'll submit a report in particular form or any form. We'll submit a report. We'll have test management tools. That's another thing, but we'll submit a report in any manner. So are we done with it? Do we need anything? I think so. We are
Mm,
basically done. Basically done.
basically done. If any changes come, then we can update. So basically, the first flow is done. Mm,
Yeah, the test flow. These are the things we needed. Am I right?
correct.
So if you see this, I wrote Python and Playwright installation just to check. See, we are a tester. We'll verify everything. Even with Python and Playwright installation, we'll verify that. We'll run a sample and see that okay, whether Playwright script and setup verification is done. Because for one primary reason, once you set this all up and this is not working, it's not going to create. Now, always try to do unit testing at the thing you are going to provide. Means suppose even at Python or Playwright installation or anything, always try to do it each and every step. Try to do unit testing because there you can control the problem or verify the problem at the instance. If you go much more than that, what happens is you have too many things to check on. So that's what I always prefer is run a sample. So creation is done. Now core framework setup. So first is configuration file setup, which I said that I have mentioned it here. First thing where to do is you need to set up the URL credentials, APS key, or anything. Whether you're going to check in Google or Safari or anything, you need to have an idea about it. That's nothing but in automation field, they call it as configuration file. We normally do it in JSON. Why JSON? We normally do it as these configuration setups will do JSON. Why we do it in JSON? Anyone knows? Why JSON?
So it should be dynamic. That's the reason, or any other reason?
It's not dynamic or one reason. JSONs are lighter. So
Okay, got
compared to anything, JSONs are very lighter and e- easy to readable. You have exactly it is based on key value pair, na? You know exactly what to check, what not to check. It can be replicated, it can be parallelly used. That's the reason when you say lighter, it's not about memory or anything. It's about readability, scalability, and everything. See, to add something, you need not build anything. One inverted commas and one colon and a comma. That's more than enough. You have exactly what to pull, where to pull, everything. It's lighter in every way to read or to parse. When I say parse means checking each and every line. So everything is easy. That's the reason we use JSON. JSON is one of the lightest form. Earlier we used to use XML. Have you seen XML file?
yeah.
From there, so earlier we used to use SOAP APIs. So there they used to use XML. Right now, REST APIs or RESTful, they're using JSON because it's lighter. So the way of communication between two applications need to have a modularity. Means there should be something in between which is easy to convert into anything. So why do when I said CSV here in the CSV, why I said CSV? So any application could take CSV. Any application, it's easy to read a CSV file because it has no boundaries. When CSV means comma separated value. So it can be comma separated value, it can be colon separated value, it can be any separated value. It is considered as a CSV itself. But that is because most of the data which we read, we do it in CSV because it's easier to read or easier to convert into columns or store in some other value or parameterize it. That's the reason most of the people use CSV. So in the same way, application setting to get any sort of data, JSON is the easiest way to put. Okay. So we are done with. configuration file. What is the second thing? On what you need to perform. So when I say on what you need to perform, what is the thing?
An application or which browser you have to. That's
So that's nothing but in uh, in Playwright language or anything, it's called page object. We use normally page object model. You have page object model. So in any application, an application, okay, I'll show you some. If you see any application like this, so this is a page. So you know exactly where to check, what to check, and everything you need to inspect. So everything, see, it's like a person. Somebody might come and check MX Player. Somebody might come and check Amazon. Somebody might come and check buy again or something. This is a feature you are going to test. So what happens is, you know that whatever, suppose there are 10 features like MX, gift card, Amazon Business, buy again, browser history, Amazon Pay, and everything, Amazon Basics. These are the 10 things which are on this page. In future, if one more thing is going to change, if you have already means, so why we, so okay, a simple thing, when you say uh, any code if you're creating some new code and saying that okay, for this application this code works, and somebody comes after a week and says that okay, we added few features, we changed this feature, so now come on, how many days it will take for you to build? Means previously I took 1 week, now also I'll take 1 week itself. So each and every tiny change, if you take 1 week to build a framework or a code, what did happen? It means you're actually taking the same time as a manual process. You're not decreasing, or you are not cutting down any time. So if you're not cutting down any time, what does it even mean? You're not doing anything new. So one of the main thing we do right automation is to save some time. So to save some time to find bugs. We have other geared thing that if automation does our normal workflow, we can concentrate more on quality assurance, like giving suggestions or knowing more about the application, that how to enhance it. That's our main duty, not only finding bugs and everything. So that we can concentrate. That's the reason we do automation and everything. So each and every time you can't write hundreds and thousands of code. So what people did is they found different routes to make it easy. Like even if there is few changes in the application also, it should take very less time to create and add new features to it. That's the reason they found a model called page object model. In page object model, for each and every page, they'll have, see, if you will go and inspect on this particular page, hmm, here it will be an image of what, that particular photo. There will be children. So each and every, that's a DOM structure. In the DOM structure, these are the web elements where you will have the conversation with. So all these things will have a conversation. So that's how, that's a page. This is a complete page, and each and everything on this is called as object. In coding language, object. So object is nothing but the instance of class. Means the class is a blueprint, like class is a cookbook recipe. Object is the dish, what you are preparing using the recipe. So this is, you're creating it as an object and you're going to use. I mean saying that if suppose you have something like search, you're creating search as an object. Means creating a dish called search. What you're going to do in future, you're going to use the object. Means you're going to use the dish either to store it or make it, sell it, or anything you can do it with it. So If you are creating the object, you are going to create the object and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to search VPN, I'm going to use Samsung and everything. So that's how normally we use objects. So in this page, whatever each and every object, if you're going to create a page of all these objects, you're going to use it for multiple instances. Means first, if the first person is only going to use buy again, and if you're going to create it, next time if you want to use buy again and sell together, you're going to use it. That's how page object model is designed. So that's nothing but on what you're going to perform an action. That's a feature here. I mean, it mostly concentrate about the feature. Okay, got it? That's nothing but page class creation. So next, once the class is done, the next thing is test data. So you're going to create a folder for test data. Simple thing. Test data, set up data files where you're going to execute external data integration from database or anything. You're going to execute that to use or help with this test data, just like JSON reader and everything. You're going to have utility functions and helper function to help it. Then once from the page object model, you're going to have a test execution configuration. That means you're going to have assertions and results. Setting whatever is result means you're going to set up a in a way to see that okay, these are the things we needed to be executed in this manner. See, without login you can't go and do search functionality. So first thing you need to do is go and do what? First login, then go to search, then search it, then add to the cart, click on it, add to the cart. So it has to flow in a process. That's what you're going to set up in the test execution configuration using the settings and the run test. Then after once the settings are done, you're going to run tests across the configurations. Okay. The final thing is you're going to either log or report it in some part using multiple reports. There will be multiple report library. You're going to use it. So and generate the reports and send it to the appropriate person. So does this cover everything? Whatever we discussed?
I think, yeah.
Is this anything different from what we manually do it? No, no, exactly same, na?
Yeah.
Nothing different. So can we look it in manual perspective and create a framework? Not in because see testing or QA or anything. It's a mindset. Means uh, it's a mindset. It's not a tool we can automate. So idea should come from a manual process. From the manual process itself, we need to automate. This acts as a middleman, just as a tool. So every idea will convert into a tool or a file, which will help us. That's how we are going to create a framework. Okay,
Got it.
that's the same thing. I have provided it here. Each and every step, which project setup is nothing but prepare environment, testing environment. Nothing. Step two, code framework is nothing but organizing test cases and checklists. Step three is nothing but understanding the applications and workflows and the UI elements. That is, yeah. Next, develop utility functions means reusable functions. Test data management is nothing but in manual language organizing test data sets. Test execution means planning the test execution across the environment. Next, integrating is reporting means documenting the test results. That's same thing. Nothing different in it. Okay. Any doubts?
I don't have anything.
That's the same thing. This is the same thing which you're going to apply it. I mean, apply it in real time in easier way. So we can call it as say when I say that everything is a recipe. So, and normally also in, I'll say so many classes which I took is everything is a recipe. Means to do a dish in a particular way, you need to follow particular steps. First, you need to on a stove or oil or hinge or anything. It should be in a process. If it is in a process, we can cook a better dish. If it is not in a process, we'll cook a mediocre dish. So if you follow a process and each and every these 8 steps or 9 steps, then once we are done with those 9 steps, the beautifications we can do it on top. Na? According to our requirement, we can change the recipes. Recipes is nothing but, yeah, you can add little more oil for taste, but first you need to add oil. You can add little more salt for taste, but when you will know after preparing dish, okay, complete dish, you'll know that okay, salt is little bit lesser, we need to add salt. Those modifications can be done later, but the first thing is you need to understand the total workflow. Once you understand the total workflow, you'll have a particular set like, okay, this is the process to follow. These are the changes we can make later. Okay. That's what I am intended to teach in this session. Playwright with Python using each and every component. I mean, each and every interface of Playwright. Okay. Am I clear?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to end the session in 1 more minute. So if you have any doubts, any clarity needed, you can ask me now.
Only one doubt, Ram. What is the difference between the Playwright we are using JavaScript as well as TypeScript, right? So what is the advantage of using a Python in Playwright? I know the Python syntax was easy compared to that. Other than that, any other features which make the Playwrights easy to us to understand Python automation? So any features which are not to you
I
got
mean, yeah, yeah. In comparison with JavaScript, you're saying Cypress. When you say JavaScript, you're saying about Cypress or anything.
no, in Playwright we use JavaScript and TypeScript, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we can use
One
TypeScript. So
thing.
why?
One thing.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing. What I say to most of the people is, suppose both are popular choices.
Mm,
It depends on organization to organization. Each has unique advantages. But
mm,
first reason is, as you said, simplicity and readability. Python code is easier to read. Yeah.
correct.
And then you go, see, if project to project, how we are going to integrate with the existing projects is something which we go by. Suppose to write the unit testing or to build a framework over the unit testing, what we normally do is to have a beautiful conversation. We'll use, okay, if the total everything in the application or everything in the company is written in Python, to integrate with the existing code, we use Python. That was one more reason, and because okay, the popular reason for me is ecosystem, the libraries. The
Mm,
libraries which are in Python, you won't have the vast set of libraries in
got
JavaScript.
got it. Yeah.
And the future is AI.
Mm,
So in agree or not, AI will come into picture. Most of the machine language uh, libraries are in Python.
mm,
So you can't make Playwright as an AI, but whatever test cases you are writing now, it can be AI. What are the reports you are going to generate now? It can be analyzed by AI. So
mm,
everything around it. If it is in Python, you can directly say to AI that, okay, this is the machine language model. Go and have a conversation with it. It will be easy for you in future.
okay.
Right now, but if you are writing into something, you're going to convert each and every component of your code into Python or any other language which machine language converts. But already Python has huge set of libraries which can convert it.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Any other doubts? Anyone? If you don't have, it's nice talking to you. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, Ram. Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks for your time.